The next stop on the Israelites' journey was Mount Sinai. There, God was going to set them apart from the other nations. They would not be like other nations with kings or worshiping idols. They would be the people of God. This should be our attitude as well. As Christians, we're meant to be set apart, not like the world, but following God. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go unto the people, and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes, and be ready against the third day. For the third day the Lord will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai. The Israelites were showing respect for God. God was going to come down and visit them on the mountain. He was going to visit with Moses. They should wash and be ready for when God comes, so they can present themselves as best they can. This is again the kind of attitude we should have. When we come into the house of God, when we come into a church, we should be at our best, both with how we dress and how we act. We should be giving proper respect to God. And Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire, and the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly. And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long, and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake, and God answered him by a voice. And the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai, on the top of the mount, and the Lord called Moses up to the top of the mount, and Moses went up. God's very presence is unlike anything else. He is loving and merciful and good to us, but He is also all-powerful and absolutely worthy of our respect and devotion. In chapter 20, God talks to Moses on the mountain. No one else was allowed up. In fact, no one else was even allowed to touch the foot of the mountain. They had to keep their distance. But God spoke to Moses and gave him what is famously known as the 10 Commandments. These were the rules that Israel would follow as a sign that they followed God. These 10 rules were divided into 2 subgroups. The first 4 are about our relationship with God. In verse 3, Thou shalt have no other gods before me. God is the only one who deserves our attention and devotion. There should not be anything else that is taking our worship, our attention from God. Thou shalt not make any graven image. We should not make physical objects to then worship. God is a spirit, and those who worship Him must worship Him in spirit. Don't take God's name in vain. Imagine saying, "Oh my Bob." You're taking Bob's name to mean nothing. That's what we're doing to the Creator of the universe, of you and me, of the one who sent the Redeemer to save us. We should give respect to God, His name and title, and should not make it meaningless in an exclamation. And remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Just as God created everything in 6 days, so He wants Israel to work for 6 days, but take that 7th day of rest. The next 6 commandments are about our dealings with other people. Honor thy father and mother. Our parents make mistakes. They're not always perfect, but God still wants us to honor and respect them as much as we can while still following Him. Thou shalt not kill. I think things like murder are pretty obvious for us not to do. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. You might not think of yourself as a thief, but have you ever taken something just small that wasn't yours? Even that is stealing. Thou shalt not bear false witness. You don't have to be in a courtroom to bear false witness. It's a fancy phrase for lying. I think everyone can agree that we are guilty of this. No one has escaped this. And thou shalt not covet. Have you ever looked on your friends' things and desired to have them, desired to possess them, not just have your own, but have that one. That is also sin. Only disobeying one of these is enough to condemn us of sin and doom us to an eternity of pain and suffering away from God. It is impossible to keep all 10 commandments. Adam and Eve only had one, and they couldn't keep that one. It's impossible to please God. But that's the point. These 10 commandments were not made to keep us out of heaven. They were made to show us how far from God's perfect standard we are. They are a teacher, or, as the Bible puts it, a schoolmaster. Wherefore the law was our schoolmaster to bring us unto Christ, that we might be justified by faith. The law is our teacher. We already don't deserve to go to heaven. We can't be like God. We can't match His holiness and perfection. The law simply shows us why we can't go to heaven. Nothing we do can ever be good enough to make up for the sins we've done. Nothing your parents or friends can do or say can help save you. Only Jesus, being fully God and fully man, could take our sins and pay for them on the cross, giving us a full pardon from all the sins that we would ever do. This is a free gift He gives to us without requiring any work. God extends it to everyone, but it's up to every individual to choose to accept it.